Hey guys, welcome back to the College Heights Huddle.
It's been a while.
It has been quite a while, but we are back for the spring semester at WKU.
Yes.
And we've got some men's basketball.
Oh, don't we have some stuff to cover?
Oh, yeah, we got a lot. So the team had a good start, They had a very good start to the season, but things have not been as great since then in terms of record.
Yeah, Conference USA hasn't treated the Hilltoppers very kindly the past 2 years, actually. Not looking too great. 5-6, they're 7th in Conference USA.
Yes.
So they're not looking too good.
Yeah, and to start the season, rattling off 4 straight wins, and then you have that tough game with Vanderbilt, and even though you lose to South Florida, they controlled that game for most of it. You get 2 more wins against good teams, and it's like, okay, well, we really got something going here. We're looking like one of the best teams in Conference USA. And even, when they lost that Jacksonville State game on the road, it's like, well, that's a good team.
Mm-hmm.
You come back with 2 straight wins against Sam Houston and Louisiana Tech. But since then, things have kind of fallen off a little bit. They've
been a really good team at home, which is normal for every basketball team, really. But being able to win on the road is something they haven't been able to do yet.
No.
I think they've won 1 away game in conference play, and that was to UTEP.
They beat MTSU.
Oh, yes,
the last one.
most
they beat
recently,
MTSU, UTEP, and then they beat Eastern Kentucky to start the year.
Yeah.
But they haven't been able to win those road games.
No, and that's definitely going to, when it gets to March when you're away from home in tournament play, that's going to play a factor, I think, in how they perform.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a big part of it. One thing that we need to mention is definitely these injuries that they've struggled with. They've had a lot. Tegan Moore, he's been balling this year.
Yeah,
but
he's missed the last 3 games.
It's been rough without Tegan, rough sledding, because at the time when Tegan, went down, they were, I think, 11-8 or somewhere around there. Not great, but, you had 2 straight seemingly winnable games, on the road. And it's like, well, if they can just get one of those, beat MTSU, you're set up for a good, way for the rest of the season. Mm-hmm. But with Tegan down, you just don't really see a path forward to this team.
Yeah, he's their leader.
Yes.
Didn't play last year, but really came back this year and proved why there was so much hype around him. At least like when looking at it and hearing head coach Hank Plona talk, he's been their leading scorer all season, and it really hasn't even been close. So without him, especially the last 3 games, they've struggled.
Yeah, no Tegan hurts, but Armello Boone went down too. He has had an incredible season, actually. He was being the second leading scorer.
And being a true freshman, he really came in and seamlessly came into the offense.
And when they really needed it, too, with all this roster, upheaval and every... That's not how you say that word. Whatever. Upheaval.
Yes.
Upheaval.
Close enough.
With all this roster upheaval,
Yeah.
So, they definitely struggled, a bit. But Armello Boone is really coming to his own. And Grant Newell has been great, too. But Celebonge going out for the season really hurts him.
Yeah, especially that early on, still trying to figure out. He played 9 games. Obviously, a transfer coming in. Without him playing, and he played decent minutes off the bench in the time he was given. He had played 18 minutes off the bench before his injury and really gave them good minutes. So not having him is rough too, especially in his 9 games. He was the leading scorer leading rebounder for WKU. So it's definitely been difficult, but nothing Hank Plona isn't used to having to figure out.
All these injuries.
Lineup,
Oh my gosh! In his first 2 first 2 years. Man, he's really struggled with that. Like his rosters have been. It's been tough, with the suspensions and the injuries all the time.
Luckily, hopefully, It's a little confusing because Tegan Moore, he's out with concussion symptoms.
Yeah.
Hopefully he'll return in the next few games, especially now that we're in February, and now's really the time to...
They really need a stretch run right now, especially if he comes back, because without him, they're
a whole
tough.
Different team. And
yes.
Plona said it after their loss, I think to Liberty and Sam Houston. Their offense is just, without Tegan Moore, it's stalled, really. Like, they're unable to put up 58 points against Sam Houston last weekend, which I think is the least amount of points they've put up all season.
Yeah.
So definitely the offense, trying to figure out how that looks without Tegan Moore, especially not knowing how long he's truly going to be out for.
And I think they've kind of switched their identity when he went down. Like before, the start of the season, you're like, okay, this is really good offensive team. If they can just play some defense, if they can play some defense, for good stretches of the game, they're going to, outscore people. And we saw that at the start of the season. Vanderbilt, a tough loss. But they scored 91 on South Florida, 80 on Evansville.
Well, not to mention, when Vanderbilt and WKU played, Vanderbilt had like the highest scoring offense in the country. And to hold them to 83 points while putting up 78 is obviously 83 isn't the best number to
but against
allow
that team.
Points. Yeah.
But, I mean, they've almost switched their identity in recent weeks. Like they held, they gave up obviously 81, 76, 73, 72. But since Tegan Moore went down, the offense has really stalled. They haven't scored as much. But they've been able to hold teams, to like 70 or lower around that area, just trying to stay in the game.
Field goal percentage, the opponent field goal percentage has become a lot lower since they haven't been able to score. And I think a lot of them realize that Tegan Moore was their go-to.
Yeah.
And in order to get any momentum going without Tegan Moore, they had to play good defense. And, I mean, they've been playing decent defense the last 3 games without Tegan Moore.
Yeah, I mean, their defense has been a lot better. And I think one thing they've really struggled at is rebounding in these recent games. It feels like, no real center presence at all has really just hurt this team. Because
which is just like they have a big roster. 3 players 6'11" or taller. It's just the mobility of those 3 players that don't allow them to see as much playing time as normal centers would.
Yeah, I feel like that doesn't really fit into the offense, they're trying to do. They need like a guy who can just run the floor and can kind of handle the ball a little bit for what Hank Plona wants to do. And I feel like they just kind of haven't really had that. They're good players, I feel like they don't really work with the system he's trying to do. But I mean, credit to them because they came back and got a good win against Middle Tennessee. Yeah,
obviously a rivalry game. Traveled and on the back half of their road trip, 3 straight games on the road, finished against Middle Tennessee State. Yeah, a good win. Getting that momentum back.
Yes.
Ready to come back to Diddle Arena. And they only have a few more games at home before the season's over. I think they have 5 or so, if I'm not mistaken. So not a whole lot.
They got to win all those games, though. What they got to do is they got to split their road games and then win the home games. But
this has been a very outside of Liberty, who has run away with the conference at this point, 10-0. Every other team has 4 more losses in conference play. So it's a really competitive league. WKU's going to have to figure out, especially here in the back half, playing teams that you've already seen.
Yeah.
At the beginning of conference play.
And it's tough, too, because I think they're still like an all-right team, without Tegan. Yeah. But if they can get him back, find some momentum in the MTSU win, get a win against Jack State, then you have two more at home, or you can get Tegan back or something.
Yeah.
You can really set yourself up for success because, hey, I mean, like you said, to your point, there's a lot of like competition in the conference. You can win a couple games and see yourself go up to 3rd, in the conference, or lose a couple when you're down to 8th. Like
there's a couple of teams that are right there. Like, just looking at it right now, Louisiana Tech, Middle Tennessee, both 5-5.
Both teams they beat this year.
Kennesaw State 6-5. Really good competition. It's just you can either, especially right now, they were looking good. I think they were sitting third, and then all of a sudden they lose 4 straight games. Now they're down to 8th. So a lot of tough competition, which is going to be interesting to see come March, come Conference USA, because I mean, if a team can throw off Liberty, it can be anyone's tournament.
And I think too, I mean, a lot of the teams ahead of them they've beaten. Like I mentioned, La Tech, Middle Tennessee. They also beat Sam Houston and Missouri State, and they're ranked 2 and 3. So I think this team, when healthy, is a lot better than their record.
Yeah.
Like I think they've beaten a lot of good teams, but these injuries have just really hampered them. So I mean, I could see if they get some of these guys back, Silbong is going to really hurt the rest of the season not having him. But I mean, they're set up for a stretch run if they can.
Armello Boone missed 2 games with an ankle. Came off the bench against Middle Tennessee State.
Played well.
So if he can fully get ready to get back into the starting lineup and Teagan comes back, I think they could have a really special few last weeks of the season.
Yeah, and all you got to do is get yourself in the top 4 of the conference. If you can do that, you set yourself up. Because this, I mean, outside of Liberty, it's
anyone's game. And all it takes is for Liberty to slip up one game.
Yeah, they just need to have one bad shooting night, which is a lot to ask for them apparently. But that's all they need.
One of the hottest mid-majors in the country right now.
They are on fire.
But, yeah, besides the front runners in Liberty, the 2, 3, and 4 spot can go to any team.
Yeah.
There's still a chance for WKU to climb back up into that spot. So it's definitely going to be an exciting few weeks of Conference USA basketball.
Yeah. Who do you think – what do you think they need to do? What's the number one thing they need to do for the rest of the season?
I think better shot selections could go a long way. Watching the MTSU game yesterday, there were a couple of times when they just threw the ball up and hoped for something to happen. So I think they need to get better ball movement, find the best open person available, and just, I guess, kind of gel together as a team, especially without Teagan Moore and without a go-to scorer. They're going to have to find the open man. And I think that's a lot easier said than done, obviously. But just being able to find the open basket and get to their spots when they need to. But I could see a lot of games for the rest of the season coming down to a few possessions. Yeah,
and to your point, I mean, a lot of the games this season have been really close in conference play. So it does feel like they found something against Middle Tennessee, winning that without Teagan.
And I mean, they shot the ball really well in that game. So if they can come back to Diddle, do it against Jacksonville State, Florida International, and then they have to play MTSU again.
That Liberty game is going to be – if they can start finding their footing, that Liberty game is going to say a lot. If they can just hang with them. Because in the first matchup, I mean, they were very close to beating them.
I mean, they came back in the second half. And that's also another thing. WKU's been a second-half team this year. So if – obviously, you don't want to be down. But if it comes down to it, they have the resources and the players and the will to get back into games.
They just got to have some better starts, I think. Because Liberty, they're down 15-2. And they pretty much immediately got it back, but that took a lot of effort. And they just need to.
It's hard to.
Yes.
Especially a team like Liberty who doesn't know how to miss, really, most of the time. Can't miss their shots.
They shot 60% from 3 in that game. I've never seen something like that in person.
But
that was incredible.
They have 5 really they have 4 really good games coming up, and if they can before Liberty, but if they can continue to win and continue on this momentum, get Teagan back like we've said, WKU could set themselves up for a really good spot in the Conference USA tournament and for the rest of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. But it'll be an interesting, like you said, interesting few weeks to end the season.
But exciting. And everyone likes good basketball. Maybe not always losing, but if it's exciting, fans will show interest, and
exactly.
That's what they're going to need, just support from Bowling Green community. And
also 7 p.m. Against Middle Tennessee.
Yes.
On Valentine's Day.
Their
interesting
biggest rival,
scheduling.
So
yeah,
it's going to be fun.
Valentine's Day, some love, some hate.
Yeah.
It'll be a good
Not
game.
called 100 Miles of Hate for nothing. So I guess we'll see what happens.
Well, that's going to do it from us.
Yes.
We will return next week for some more men's basketball coverage.
It's been a little bit. So we'll be here from now on until we're not here anymore.
Until I'm not here anymore. It's my last semester. But
until Austin's not here anymore.
Shout out women's basketball. We're about to go to women's basketball with Malone and Adrianna, and they're going to tell you all about the great season that they're going to tell y'all about women's basketball and the season they've had. It's been up and down, so take it away, guys.
Hey, welcome back. It's the College Heights Huddle again. We're so back.
We're back.
We're the most back we've ever been. My name is Malone Farmer. I am the women's basketball commentary writer, and I am joined by...
I'm Adrianna Lein, and I am the women's basketball beat writer.
Yes. So I get to have opinions, and Adrianna does not. We've returned after our break hiatus to talk about some women's ball. Let's talk about the team. Let's talk about where they've been since we left them off, because when we last talked about them, it was a lot harder to get a sense for what the team was.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, however, it feels pretty clear,
evident, yes,
who the team is, what their identity is.
Correct.
How do you feel about this team, Adrianna?
I feel consistently disappointed.
Yeah, that's kind of how I've felt by the team as well, because it feels like, I think the most frustrating part for me, at least, is it feels like there is some potential there. There's a lot of like really good elements that they have. Trinity Rowe is a great leader for this team, I think. I think Zophie is a great, kind of supporting power forward type player. Salma plays with a lot of confidence, and even when she makes mistakes, at least she's going for the basket. She's going for the rim when a lot of other players aren't. A lot of new young talent that's very exciting, like Annie Arrivo. But it just feels like there's something. It just, as many good things as there are, it feels like there are an equal amount of like setbacks.
Definitely, if not more.
Yeah, very frustrating team, I think. Very disappointing, because it felt, the beginning of the season, everything felt so new, because we were coming off of a very good season that they had last year with Lexi Mead
Alexis.
and yes, sorry, Collins calls her Lexi all the time, and it's
calls Trinity Trin.
Yeah,
Otter loves that.
Yeah. Otter is the thing we use to record our notes, by the way.
That was kind of an inside show.
Yeah, inside baseball there. Alexis Mead and Josie Gilvin and a lot of, Acacia Hayes, a lot of these very good players. And so going into this season, it felt like, well, what now? Because a lot of them are gone. You have a lot of new players this year. So I don't know, everything kind of felt like, whoa, what's going to happen? And now it's like, well, it happened and it wasn't that fun. I don't know. Let's get into like the meat of it. actually, and like the ways in which they've struggled and stuff. You know, let's talk about what I think is maybe their biggest issue, which is their shooting. Particularly their perimeter shooting is just...
That's their biggest issue, in your opinion?
Maybe not their biggest issue.
I think it's important to clarify. Are you talking a statistic issue or just like an observation issue?
Observation issue.
Okay.
I think that their perimeter shooting leaves a lot to be desired. It's maybe not the most impactful issue, but it's definitely one of the areas in which they're lacking the most is their perimeter shooting and what they look like when they're putting up a three-pointer. Like the only player who confidently shoots three-pointers, Trinity Rowe
and
Telegdi, yeah, and like they're good, but when they're the only two that really do it with any major success, like,
and who shouldn't be the ones for the most part shooting the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Not shouldn't, but I mean, a typical basketball lineup is point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center.
Yeah.
Shooting guard. That's what they need, and that's something that I've kind of foreshadowed in my print piece. That's something that I've talked about, and they don't have that because their two leading ladies in terms of 3-point stats are the point guard and the power forward.
Yeah. They truly don't have a shooting guard, and it's because if Tatum Betcher was a really good shooter, I would say that she could really take that spot as like a shooting guard. It's kind of your, I don't know, kind of a Klay Thompson type, if that makes sense.
Yes, but I think for her to actually fulfill that theoretical role, I think many aspects of her game would need to be improved.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, like if a shooting guard, if the requirements of that position were solely shooting, sure. But she's also one of the tallest players on the team. She's one of the most built players on the team. So it's like she doesn't match entirely with a shooting guard type. But yeah.
Perimeter shooting is an issue. I think another big issue is turnovers, and it has been since the beginning of the season. I think it's maybe the most consistent through-line issue with this team is their turnovers.
Probably, yeah.
Like, Trinity Rowe has a really good turnover ratio. Like, she has, at least last I was looking, the highest assist-to-turnover ratio in CUSA.
Really?
Yes. At least
sure?
last time I looked at the stats, she did. Okay. That may have changed since then, but she had the highest, if not one of the highest. Like she had a really high assist to turnover ratio, or a very good one, I should say. But it feels like players that are really like players that I think are real benefits to the team. Their biggest Achilles heel is turnovers and turning the ball over and just giving it up. I don't know, like Tia Schelling, who I think has been a very good asset for this team, especially earlier in the season when Trinity Rowe was injured, still had a lot of turnovers very consistently.
Yeah.
It's just a huge issue for this team, and I don't know, it's... A lot of the other issues I think are harder to pin down because some games they're really strong at rebounding, let's say. Some games they're really good at it, and then other games they completely, no pun intended, drop the ball on it. And it feels like recently they've been leaning towards their rebounding hasn't been as good recently.
Oh, not at all.
But earlier in the season,
in the non-conference schedule, it was.
They were out rebounding even opponents that I would say, like opponents that they lost against, opponents that kind of were like going into it. WKU was the underdog. They were still out rebounding them, and it feels like since they've entered conference, that hasn't been the case as much.
Also foreshadowing my print piece.
Yeah.
I I'm trying to recall the exact number, but I calculated WKU's record for whenever they lose the rebounding battle. I think it's 1-14.
Yikes.
I think it's either 1-14 or 1-15. Like, it's a very drastic difference, if that is any indication.
I mean, that's really bad. That, especially when you have Jennifer Silva, who is the most traditional post, I would say, on the team. And it seems like when she's on the court, her focus is not rebounding.
No, it's not. And Collins rips her up for it.
Yeah, he does. He talks about it a lot. He talks about how her focus is not rebounding, it's on shooting. And that's fine. She's a pretty good shooter. She is often, like, when she's on the court, she is one of the most consistent scorers there. But she's also the tallest player on the team and has the most ability to maneuver to the rim and grab a rebound. Like, she's a center. It's, kind of one of the biggest things you need to do as a center is get rebounds, and she hasn't been a lot recently. And, like, also the team has had a lot of injury issues. Obviously not their fault, but it doesn't help an already struggling team, I would say. Tori James and Salma went down last week during a game, and Trinity wasn't able to play because she had the flu or flu-like symptoms, they said. They've been struggling with little random things like that all throughout the season, and I don't think it's done them any favors, I guess. It would be a good way to say it. I don't know. You talk now. I've talked a lot.
I was trying to visualize what I want to say, and I think I got it.
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely do not believe that WKU's issue is a lack of skill,
and
I also don't think it's a lack of effort.
I agree with both of those.
And Collins, a lot of times, more recently, especially in the conference schedule, has touched on their lack of effort, and I could pull up quote after quote of where he's just been really upset about that. And in some cases, it is valid. Like, I can remember the Jacksonville State game, which I think is the first time he mentioned the lack of effort, when they essentially kind of gave up towards the end. Like, actually gave up in terms of effort, in terms of just, like, morale. They were just so defeated. And he ripped him up for it because he was like, there's no excuse for that. I can recall the quote off the top of my head. It was like, it's one thing to be embarrassed about playing bad. It's another thing to be embarrassed for not trying, or, like, not something like that, which I think is very true. But I still don't think that's the issue, the lack of effort or the lack of skill. I think the issue is the lack of cohesion. The Lady Toppers all, for the most part, individually have good, moderate, above average, whatever skill sets. They all, for the most part, have some kind of identity to the way they play. Like, they have one type of way that they are looking to score, or they have one, like, pretty distinct feature about them. But they don't mesh. Like, the aspects of the game for all the individual players don't work together. Like, the visualization I came up with was, when you cut up a piece of paper into a bunch of, like, different pieces and then, like, lay it out the way it's supposed to be and how they're supposed to be all together after you've cut them up in like a whole picture, but you don't glue it down. And so if, like, you make the slightest movement, those little individual slips of paper move around, and you have to, like, correct them from the slightest little adjustment. I kind of think of it like that. Like, the puzzle piece is the team, and the little pieces are all the players, and all are what they bring to the team. But whenever they play in a game, they're spread out. They're not glued down. And so there's no overlap between the skill sets. Like, you see, the one example I can think of where there is overlap is Trinity Rowe and Zofia Telegdi's two-man game. Love that. That reminds me so much of Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston from the Indiana Fever. I love that. That's, like, arguably it in terms of, like, teamwork.
It is the most cohesive you see the team
Correct.
Is when Trinity throws a crazy pass to Zofia, and then she grabs it and she takes it to the rim, you know?
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
When you get those moments,
Right.
that is the most cohesive the team feels. But I understand what you're saying, and I agree that it feels like the biggest issue is that so many of these players get kind of pushed to get, and it's like, this is the lineup now, and it's like, sure, they're good players, but they don't play well together. Like,
definitely.
specific lineups, I think, where it'll just kind of be like, it seems like just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing if something's going to stick. And very rarely does it stick.
Yeah. Also, I keep forgetting my print piece, but it's so relevant to what we're talking about. Something that I've noticed from being a player and from being a point guard specifically, something that is very much, or was very much instilled in me when I played, was dribble penetration. You would go to the rim. If you were double teamed, you kick it out, because let's do math here. The College Heights huddle, 2v1, someone's left their man, someone's open on your team. And that was just drilled into me and, like, my teammates, whatever team I was on. You don't ever see that ever from WKU. And that is a very simple and very fundamental aspect of basketball that's very effective. That's very just common sense if you think about it. And doing lots of dribble penetration, not specifically WKU, but just in general, that's a very good and simple example of a cohesive team, a cohesive effort in trying to score, in trying to play smart and not, like, wear yourself out and get hurt over taking 2-on-1 underneath the rim.
Yeah.
And you don't ever see that. But you see that all the time with other Conference USA teams. And so it's like something that simple is not even there.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on, guys.
It doesn't feel like the players are lacking fundamentals. It feels like the team is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like the IQ of what it should look like in terms of, like, in this situation, what should happen in terms of, like, decision making. Yeah.
It feels like the parts are better than the overall.
Yes, there is no synergy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess unless you've got something else, we should hand it on over.
Well, let's kind of talk about who they just played in, like, just briefly touch on that. Right now, the Lady Toppers are on a 5-game losing streak, and they have lost 9 of their last 10 games.
They've won 1 game in conference against UTEP, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. They are otherwise they are ranked bottom in Conference USA women's basketball.
Correct. Most recently, they played rival Middle Tennessee State and got blown out.
Yeah.
It was just not a good game, and everything we just said about team cohesion and synergy, the pendulum in terms of those things was completely swinging towards MTSU and not towards WKU, and that showed. And I think that's the
biggest issue.
Yes, I think it's the biggest issue, but also the most simplistic way to talk about why they lost.
Yeah.
And that's probably why they lose a lot of games. But that happened most recently, and it was on the road. And then they continue on the road this week as they face FIU, Florida International University, on Thursday night, and then stay on the road for Missouri State Saturday afternoon.
Yeah. Those away games, I'm not expecting them to go particularly well, especially just being on the road puts you at a disadvantage.
Yeah. So FIU is 5th, and Missouri State is 4th. And we are 12th.
Oh, and isn't that awesome? Yeah, but that's women's basketball. And hey, isn't that something? We're going to hand it off to the, I believe, the baseball and softball preview. So, bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, Malone, and myself. I'm Adrianna Lein, like I just said, but for this segment, I will introduce myself as the softball beat writer. And with me here is
David Quintanilla, Herald Español editor, filling in as the baseball reporter for the beginning of the season.
Sick. So we're just going to do a season preview, just kind of foreshadowing what's going to go on for both softball and baseball for the bat and ball sports on the Hill.
The return.
The return of the bat and ball sports. Well, softball starts this weekend, so that was kind of the push for doing this segment now, and then baseball starts the following weekend.
Yep.
So, shall we start with softball or with baseball?
Let's go softball.
Softball? Okay. WKU softball. Let me do a little recap just off the top of my head. Very young team last year. Lots of freshmen, lots of inexperience, but they climbed their way through that season and ended the regular season with a second ranking in Conference USA going into the postseason tournament, which was really, really awesome to witness because it was just the growth of all these young players and seeing them perform at this high level against a lot of players who were older than them. And it was just really, really awesome to watch. Then in the tournament, which WKU hosted last year, they lost in the losers bracket in the second game. And I covered every single game for softball except for the last couple because my sister was graduating and that was graduation week. But the first game, they lost to Jacksonville State. And then that sent them into the losers bracket because there was a winners bracket and losers bracket. It was double elimination. And then the second game, they won over Sam Houston. And then that avoided elimination for the hosting team. And then they ultimately lost to Louisiana Tech in game 3, which
I covered.
Which you did. Which sent them home for good for that season. It was a little bit of an underwhelming way to end the season, just as someone who watched them very completely. I watched every game or not every game, but I covered them very top to bottom for the season. So then looking at this season and this roster, the WKU team has 6 new faces, 4 of which are freshmen and 2 of which are transfers. That's not nearly as drastic of a number as the baseball team, who lost almost their entire team to the transfer portal. But yeah, that'll be interesting to see. And then they were ranked 4th in the Conference USA preseason poll with 1 first-place vote, which I thought was interesting, and you definitely thought was interesting. WKU also did not have any players ranked on the preseason all-conference team, which I thought was interesting because last year they had 1 in Morgan Sharp, the shortstop, but nobody made the list this year. So that was a little sad. But anyways, so looking at the lineup, I just highlight the changes. So one of the 2 transfers is sophomore infielder Anna Mock. I don't know how to say her last name. That's just my guess for the pronunciation. But she's coming in from UK, which is actually the second player on this WKU team who transferred in from UK. The first being Jenna Blanton. But my guess is that she'll replace someone in the infield, and my guess is she will replace sophomore third baseman Katie Murphy. The biggest reason being she was at the very bottom of the lineup last year, did not hit very effectively, and she was very passionate about the game, which was very evident in the way she played, but sometimes that passion did not transfer over into execution. But anyways, that's my guess who Mock will replace Murphy for the third base position. And then also the second transfer is Olivia Paston coming in from Northern Kentucky. She's a fifth year. And my guess is she will replace Macy Greger in the starting right field position. She has a lot of experience, and in her bio it said that her entire senior season at NKU she played in the right field position. And so I think Paston will replace Greger just from her experience. And then also the first UK transfer, Jenna Blanton, she got hurt. Something. I never knew what it was. I was never disclosed what it was. But it was something to do with her like shoulder or arm, because I remember seeing she had a big old brace. I think it was surgery or something like that. And so she did not play a lot of the season, which when she got hurt, she was leading the Hilltoppers in batting average. She was batting like 545, I want to say. Like, it was crazy. To be fair, it was pre-conference. Like, she got hurt very early into the season, but it was still like very notable that she was the leading hitter. So also my guess is she will go into the center field position, which is what she started in when she did play last season, and then that will boot BG native Kendall White to left field.
Shout out Kendall White, BGHS alumni.
Yeah, that's my guess. That's kind of it for roster lineup, but just looking forward, the Hilltoppers have 2 away tournaments in Georgia, or they're both in Georgia actually, and then they return home to host 2 tournaments, the Hilltopper Classic and the Hilltopper Spring Fling, and then they start Conference USA play in early March.
Fire.
So they have a lot of games. I think press release about the schedule, I think it said 51 games. So there's a lot of games in this season. So fans are gonna be getting a lot of Hilltopper softball action coming up. But do you want to talk about baseball? I know you're very excited.
Anxiously waiting to talk about this team. Yes. So, I guess we start with last season and the sort of historic season they had last season.
Sort of. You mean the historic season?
The historic season they had last season that I got to witness.
Yes.
Firsthand, too, since I was one of the only few media people at the beginning of the season. And then more people flooded in as they started to realize, wait, this team
they're good.
might actually be good.
Yeah.
So, 46-14 to end the season overall is just an insane record to have in baseball. That's 18-9 in conference play, which got them second seed in the conference tournament after they dropped 2 in the final series. It's the only conference series they lost, I believe, to Jack State.
Oh, they beat Dallas Baptist?
Yeah, they took 2 from Dallas Baptist.
Okay.
They had the best home record in all of college baseball with 30-3, which Adrianna Lein was witness to the first one, just to mark my words on that one. So in the conference tournament, they sort of were nicknamed the comeback heroes, as they had to come back against New Mexico State University in the first round with a walk-off home run. They had to come back against FIU in the very next round with a walk-off home run, I believe, as well. And then they had to walk it off in the 11th inning to Jack State with a Joe Ciervo double, I believe, but it sort of showed the negative side that they had throughout the postseason, which was leaving too many people on base, which was a trend for both bat and ball sports here on the Hill.
Yes, it was.
The Hilltoppers then went on to the Oxford Regional, hosted by Ole Miss, where they got 2 losses to Georgia Tech and Ole Miss, which knocked them out of the NCAA tournament, which was sad to see such a historic season end in 2 losses in the regional. Like I said earlier, it was just too many people were left on base. The Ole Miss game especially, it was an 8-6 loss. If they just brought in some of those players, maybe I'd be saying a different story right now. But that did not happen. That team last season also led the conference in average and in ERA. So this was a dominant team throughout the whole season, and it's in the
High threes.
315.
315?
315
Oh,
as a
that'd be
team.
more.
ERA 350. Yeah, softball's never heard of that ERA before.
Are we enemies here or something? We're supposed to be the bat and ball sports. Plural.
Anyways, that last season was historic. And then Western also had a historic offseason where
Perfect segue.
they only retained 9 of their players from the last season.
Out of how many players on the roster? Like 40?
They had 23 transfer out. So it's a 40-man roster, I think. So 31 in the end left the team, with 23 of them transferring out. One of them getting drafted to the MLB, though. So shout out Ryan Weidman on the Padres organization. But yeah, it's really different from the beginning of last season, where Reid retained 20 of his players from the season before, to now this season just retaining 9. The good news for Reid is that he did retain some heavy hitters and some of the players that did really good last season. He retained Reid Howard, who was his starting shortstop for most of the season last year. He didn't bring much to the plate, batting mostly in the bottom of the lineup, but his fielding was actually pretty good for a freshman. Considering he was a freshman, he made Coosa all-freshman team. He was great in the field and shortstop. I feel like he'll definitely bring a lot to the table this year. He's worked in the offseason. I've seen his Twitter stuff. So I'm excited to see how he follows up a really good freshman year. And then he also retained Kyle Hayes, who was Coosa's second team and was 4th in Coosa average with 363. He also had 56 RBIs last season. So just retaining those 2 players alone, I think that will really help Reid really mold this team. Retain some of his bullpen, who I think he'll start this year, just depending on how he feels about the transfers that he got in the pitching side. I haven't really seen much about the pitchers who transferred in. It's more about the hitters and the fielders who transferred in. That's been getting a lot of the news. So I think he'll definitely start a few of his retained pitchers from last season. But other than those 9 returning, there are definitely some new faces on the team. That includes 4 freshmen that are coming in, including a hometown kid from South Warren, Ethan Reynolds, who played as a utility player for South Warren, so he was all over the field. So I think that'll really help Reid, especially since Reid likes toying with the lineup early in the season. Like I said before, 27 transfers in for this season, which is a lot. The headlines for that is J.P. Acosta from Fresno City College, who batted .346 and had 10 home runs last season at Fresno. I've seen a lot about him. I've seen a lot about his swing, his fielding. He also plays shortstop, so it'll be interesting to see how Reid uses Reid Howard and J.P. Acosta, since both of them do good in the field. Will Reid Howard retain his shortstop spot, or will it get taken by JP Acosta? I think JP Acosta has a better arm. So if he were to start both of them, I think JP Acosta would get the third base bag. And the also important transfer was Cal Frost from Nebraska, who batted .222 with 7 home runs. He's seen as this heavy hitter who sometimes just swings at balls he should not be swinging at. But I think with the coaching that WK Baseball has, it's definitely a great coaching staff. So if they can get him in shape, maybe get to that 300 that you saw a lot of hitters get last season, I think he'll do just fine for the team. But yeah, like you said, the season starts not this weekend, but next weekend, and it's BYU here, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
This is a really well-made schedule, in my opinion. They open with BYU here. Indiana comes to the Hill. They have a matchup against UK in Lexington, which other games that seem really good. They're going to Cincinnati. They've produced some pitchers along the years. They go to Louisville, and then Louisville comes here, which is interesting. So that will be fun. And then the big conference series is Dallas Baptist comes here this year, which is going to be really interesting, considering that DBU series last season was huge for Western at the time. Dallas Baptist was ranked nationally at the time. I think they were top 15, maybe. So really good Dallas Baptist team that they took down and really put Western on the map for the last season. Another interesting game is this year Western and Belmont will be playing in the Nashville Sounds field for a game. So that's a really interesting game. So that will be a really interesting one. I might drive down for that one. Just looking ahead into the season, other than the big roster changes, Reardon did lose his pitching coach. Dylan Napoleon did move on from Western. Dylan Napoleon has been with Reardon since his Iowa Western days. So that will be a big loss for Reardon, I believe. Not just Reardon as a coaching staff, but just as a connection. They've been together for so long. And I think that will definitely hurt. Reardon talked a lot about last season at the beginning, how retaining his coaching staff was just as important as retaining his roster. And now this season, seeing him lose his right-hand man and most of his roster, Reardon might be in the dumps a little bit. But I have said it, Reardon is a great baseball coach. So I think he'll continue with his small ball play. No one is bigger than the team on a Reardon team. If he wants you to bunt, you're going to bunt. You saw that with Weidman a lot last season, and he is now on the Padres organization. So no one is bigger than that team, and I definitely think Reardon will keep with that small ball mindset. And I think with a new team that will also help a lot, because early on you'll see you won't have to rely so much on the big names when you can just get a ball down, move base, get a ball down, move base, and then score the runs. Reardon has been excellent so far for Western. When he took over, they were ranked dead last in CUSA preseason polls, and then the following year, 5th. And then last season, they were ranked 3rd. And now this season, they take 5th place with 0 first-place votes. But somehow New Mexico State got one, who are ranked 4th to last. I don't know who gave them a first-place vote. I feel like this season will be the real season that shows if Reardon is a great coach or if he just had the players to make such greatness happen on the Hill. Because this is the first time he's going to have to almost completely make over this team because he's retained so much throughout the years. But that's the issue with not being a Power 5 school is losing your players to the big dogs. He lost most of his pitching and most of his starting lineup. But if Reardon could get through that, I think Western can have another. Not maybe as good as they did last season, but they could get.
All right, I think that about covers it for the bat and ball sports on the Hill before they actually commence.
I'm so excited.
So we're going to be sending it off to Jamie and Michael as they talk about NFL ahead of the Super Bowl on Sunday.
Thank you, Adrianna and David, for softball and baseball preview. I can't wait to edit that this year. It's going to be fun. We're going to talk real quick, and I mean super brief, college football, because the last podcast episode, we previewed the playoffs.
Givner, introduce yourself.
Maybe I should introduce myself because people are like, who the hell is talking? Anyways, I'm assistant editor, Michael Givner. Joining me here is my lovely sports reporter, Jamie Jamison, the GOAT.
Yes, sir.
He's about to drop some unbelievably terrible takes.
Unbelievably great takes.
Yeah, they better be because you was kind of scaring me earlier. Let's go over the playoffs for college football. No one's going to know what I predicted 'cause when I watched that podcast episode, there was nothing on college football. So thank goodness that the internet's not going to know what I said.
What did you say, actually? Like, what did you say?
I had Georgia winning it all, and they got
goodness.
bounced in the Sugar Bowl.
Yep.
I had A&M, I think I had A&M probably playing them in the semifinal, I think. Them or Ohio State, I can't remember. And I think I had Indiana and Oregon. I had Oklahoma beating Bama. That didn't happen. Indiana winning it was not what I predicted.
Really?
No. I think my natty was Indiana, Georgia, I want to say. I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I had Tulane upsetting Ole Miss. That didn't happen. I had Texas Tech making some headways. That definitely didn't happen. They put up a whopping 0 points in the Orange Bowl. So that was a really bad prediction. Shout out Indiana, though.
Yes, they are. Those are terrible predictions.
Kurt Signetti, leading his team to the national championship. All right, NFL. Let me say this for the NFL.
Yeah.
I would like to make my victory lap for my team, the Broncos.
Here we go.
Yep, here we go. I'd like to make my victory lap because my victory lap was short-lived on the last episode, on the last segment. I went on the podcast and said that the Broncos' floor for this past season was 10-7.
Uh-huh.
They went 14-3, won the AFC, won a playoff game.
Easy schedule, by the way. I'm just letting you guys know.
What are you talking about?
Dude, you guys are like the fakest 14-3 team I've ever seen.
They would be in the Super Bowl right now if their quarterback was healthy.
That's what they always say. It was a catch, by the way, against the Bills and Broncos. I just want to let you guys know.
It was a catch by Jaquan McMillan. You are so right.
All right.
You're absolutely right. He did catch the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I'm proud of them. I'm glad that they won that game against the Bills. Got the first seed.
Okay.
What? Just because your team got bounced in the first round.
Whoa. But we played with some grit, bro. Look, we weren't supposed to beat these guys. Like, we weren't even supposed to be – it wasn't even supposed to be a close game at all. Was it?
I disagree. Y'all beat them earlier in the season.
This is playoffs. This is different. This is something that's completely different. And we're going against an MVP Matthew Stafford, are we not? And they put the brakes on the –
Okay, so the same thing I'm saying with Denver. They were not – no one predicted them to win the West, unless if you were me. No one predicted them to, win the first seed. And then they beat, Josh Allen in the playoffs, a notorious playoff riser. He's got one of the best, he's one of the best playoff performers ever. He's, got some of the best playoff stats ever. And, he elevates his game in the playoffs. And the Bills turned the ball over 5 times. He turned the ball over 4 times.
Yeah.
Beat 33 points on that Buffalo defense. That's great, for Denver. And, New England, the 4th down attempt was terrible. It was a terrible decision.
Yeah.
They did not play for the blitz to help Stidham out at all.
Mm-hmm.
At all. They didn't help him out.
I was wondering why you guys didn't kick it.
And then you missed the 2 field goals.
That's what I'm
earlier,
saying.
and
Like,
it's
you can't do that. You genuinely can't.
You have to
do
take
that.
your points with a backup quarterback.
And the craziest thing is Drake May didn't play good at all. Like,
he didn't.
Like, it was a game that featured a lot of defense.
I'm gonna say this and debate a wall. Stidham didn't fumble the ball. That wasn't a fumble. It was a forwards pass that got knocked backwards, and they.
Why'd he go backwards anyways?
I don't know why he didn't throw it away.
It should have been a fumble. You just don't. He calls himself, regardless if it would have been a sack or whatever. It still would have been game over, bro.
He shouldn't have thrown it. I don't know. He should.
Yeah, he shouldn't have though. I give you
He
that.
should have threw it away. He waited too long and hesitated, and then he. Like, what are you doing? And then, like, it was horrible play calling.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we fired our offensive coordinator. I've been calling for that one, So I'm glad for that. Super Bowl, however, is Seattle, New England. It should be Denver, Seattle, but whatever.
Well, I think this is a better Super Bowl matchup, regardless.
I disagree. I think Seattle is going to.
They would have done the same thing with
No.
Denver. They would have done the same thing. Realistically,
I think that the Denver defense is going to be better equipped to handle the Seattle. Would have been better equipped to handle the Seattle offense. They held the Patriots to 10 points, and they would have won if they made 2 field goals. If they took the field goal on that 4th down instead of going for it, it would have been 10-10. And then all you need to do is, I think on one of the field goals they missed. Stidham went backwards. I'm like, why are you going backwards? I think he took a sack or like he ran for like a loss of yards. Like, what are you doing? The offense was not like equipped. I'm either calling a short pass to get him closer to field goal range. And also one of the kicks was blocked. Like, it got tipped. So there's that.
how excited were you at first when you saw that first touchdown drive? Like,
I
genuinely,
I was like, okay, this is what we need. All you gotta do is play defense. I'm thinking you win the game 7-0, you win the game.
Yeah.
Granted, I knew that wasn't gonna happen, but think about it like this: if they didn't get that fumble, they would have had to march basically the length of the field. Because that was before the weather got really bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
They don't score there. What are the chances they score with the rest of the game moving forward? Because other than a field goal, that was it for them. They didn't score anything else, and it's like, I don't know. A lot of what ifs there. I'm coping, but Seattle's gonna win. I think they're gonna win the Super Bowl. They look good all season, both sides of the ball.
Realistically, what you saw against the Rams, I think that was the Super Bowl for us. Because what we're going to see against the Patriots.
Are the Patriots going to be ready to play? Yes. They're just going to be outmatched, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely outmatched. And going back to Drake May in the playoffs, he hasn't been.
That's another reason why Mike Denver should have won that game. But then again, you're not going to win a game when you don't turn the ball, when you don't force turnovers.
Yeah.
When you leave points on the board, you're not going to win games. But again, me coping.
And mind you, it's been a close scoring game against the Chargers as well as the Broncos. And yes, that was the defense heavy, but we know Seattle is they have a great
Seattle
offense.
has an offense.
Yeah.
If Sam Darnold has played like he has all season, they're going to win that game. The defense has played well. They've got Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker.
Oh, yeah.
They've got Jackson Smith and Jigba. They're ready for this game. They're ready.
Yeah, and I think this is gonna be a revenge game for Sam Darnold too, for the Vikings trading him and stuff like that.
This is an opportunity for him to prove himself. I think he'd be the first quarterback in his draft class to win the Super Bowl, which is really funny when you think about who else was in that draft class. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Goes to show you, I've been a Josh Allen supporter, but obviously I'm picking my
Josh Allen.
Yeah. I've been, say what you want, but he's been
inconsistent, loses all the time.
Okay, now we could go down the road. Are they his fault? Think about it. Are they really his fault?
Some of them, he had 5 turnovers.
I'm not talking about that game. I'm talking about 13 seconds against the Chiefs that year when he threw a touchdown.
If Mark Andrews didn't drop that pass, it would have been Lamar, and Allen would have been out sooner, right?
Yeah, I'm not talking about that. That was
right,
a different week. I'm talking about the season when they went to Kansas City.
Yeah,
threw the touchdown, 13 seconds left. That's not his fault. He never got the ball back.
Fair.
There was the time against the Bengals. The Bengals just outmatched them. The Bengals outcoached them.
By a younger quarterback in Joe Burrow, by the way. And who's made it to the Super Bowl?
And lost, Aaron Donald.
Okay, but has Josh Allen been there?
Josh Allen hasn't been there because coaching has let him down.
Overrated, inconsistent. Thank you. He's
How?
genuinely overrated.
Give me a playoff other than the Broncos game.
Yeah.
Give me a playoff game where he was the reason they lost. You can't. You can't. Because the Bills losing is because of the defense. Why are you playing prevent defense with 13 seconds left in a game where the team needs a field goal to force overtime? The Bengals game, there's a bunch of factors there. The defense was horrible. They were playing 15 yards back the whole game and letting Joe Burrow dump it off to Chase and Higgins the whole time. Whatever. Last year's AFC Championship game, you can make Allen could have gotten it done,
or Allen just can't get past the Chiefs. That's his problem.
I
right there.
agree.
He genuinely just can't get past.
I think
beats them in the regular season, but when
they turn their brains off come playoff time, Andy Reid outcoaches McDermott.
By miles. Yes.
But
And the thing about Josh Allen is, when he can play, he can really play. But there's just some things that he does on the field that I'm like, dude, how are you starting right now? It's some of the decisions that he makes. I'm sorry.
Listen, it's not his fault that his offensive coordinator calls Khalil Shakir screens, and
But I will give you guys this, like with this roster that he has now, to make it this far, like not having that many key players.
This is how it's been though for most of his career. He had Diggs, sure.
Yeah, I was
but
gonna
the
say
defense wasn't. The defense would just drop playoff time. Mahomes, like they're playing back this weak zone against a Mahomes Chiefs team with at that point they had Bieniemy as the offensive coordinator at some points. So it's just like, and then I don't know, they just never adjusted for the Chiefs. Like they were like, oh, we're ready for him, and then Allen's gotta do what he needs to do, put on his cape, and it's not enough. But I tried to support him, but I'm not gonna pick him over the Broncos. I'm sorry. And it was rough seeing him, upset. Fired McDermott,
Yeah.
I think the Joe Brady promotion, bad move. That was a bad move. Joe Brady, I didn't like him as an OC. I don't know how it's going to be as a defense. They're going to need a true. I think they got Jim Leonard as defensive coordinator, which good signing. I remember him from Wisconsin. He had the Badgers defense looking crazy, so that's a good signing. But I don't know how that's going to move. How that's going to change things. Allen, he's had his prime wasted, and
But I feel like he's still more protected though. Like if Lamar had 5 turnovers in the game,
Lamar is a playoff dropper though. You know this.
Why aren't you protecting? All right,
know this.
No.
I'm not sitting up here defending Josh Allen.
You literally said Josh Allen. It's literally his team.
I said every game but the Broncos game for Josh Allen. The Broncos game was completely, for the most part, on him. Cook fumbled. Okay, that's on Cook. He's had fumble issues. He led the league in fumbles despite leading the league in rushing yards. Okay, the fumble Allen had when he was when he took off and scrambled before halftime and he just threw the ball back. That was dumb. That was terrible. The pick he threw at the end of the game in overtime, not his fault. If you lead Cook some more, Cooks needs to come down with that regardless. But McMillan just took it from him. That's all that was. There was another pick. There was a couple picks he threw. No, he had another fumble. He had the strip sack fumble.
Okay.
Not his fault. It's a blind side. The offensive lineman did not protect his blind side, and he just fumbled the ball. I'm trying to think what happened with the other interception. I can't think of the other interception on top of my head right now. That's the only playoff game I could think of that was
still the most protected quarterback in all of NFL. Let Lamar do any of this.
I bet you was defending Lamar after the game against the Bills.
Of course.
Even after his 2 turnovers in the first half?
They literally would have won the game if Mark Andrews would have been a tight end. He gets paid millions of dollars, by the way, guys. Millions of dollars to catch a ball. If he caught that, they would have been advanced. The Bills would have been cooked. They would have been in Cancun. They would have been in Cancun. LeBron would have beat the Chiefs. And I said LeBron. Lamar would have beat the Chiefs,
okay, so
and they would have been in the Super Bowl.
That game would the 2-point conversion would have forced overtime. They still would have, and then it's not like the old overtime rules. Both teams would have gotten the ball.
Oh, speaking of overtime rules,
Lamar, Josh Allen.
Why did they do that? Why did they do that?
Do what?
Was it because of Josh Allen or something?
No, it's because it's fair. That should not be how overtime in the playoffs go. It should be sudden death. I like that. Sudden death. You play a whole new game. You decide a winner. Think about it. If you're in the Super Bowl and you like, think about it. Imagine Lamar, because you like him so much.
I love Lamar.
Scores a game-tying touchdown. Scores a game-tying touchdown to force overtime in the Super Bowl if he got there. Imagine they lost the coin toss and he never got the ball in overtime. You would be complaining for them to change the rules, wouldn't you? And don't even sit there and act like he wouldn't. You would be saying that he should have gotten an opportunity to house the ball. In the 13 seconds game, Josh Allen should have gotten an opportunity to touch the ball. That's my belief, and that's why they changed the rules. So when you have situations like the Super Bowl Niners Chiefs, the AFC divisional round between the Broncos and the Bills, you play a new game, overtime. That's my belief. But we're gonna leave that at that. Seattle win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, like,
okay,
there's no question with that.
Okay,
like,
and then the Broncos are gonna win it next year.
No, there's going to be the Panthers, the Carolina Panthers with Bryce Young behind the young unit that we have right now. And we have a rookie of the year wide receiver who's just playing so great. Like, we are going to dominate the NFC. Falcons who? Buccaneers who?
You playing
Saints
the NFC?
who?
We're cutting this down. We're done.
What?
You talking about the NFC South, bro.
The Bucs were good at the beginning of the season.
The NFC South should not have an automatic qualifier for the playoffs. Whoever wins the division should not be an automatic qualifier for the NFC South. Y'all's division is bun.
No, we're not. Just because we have an off year doesn't mean our division is buns, bro.
Y'all have had an off year every year since y'all made the Super Bowl.
Not true, guys. Not true. No, look. Yes. Have we not been having the best years? Yes, I'll give you that. But we're still young. We're still rebuilding and stuff like that. And for you to say that the NFC South is weak, the Falcons pretty good with their new quarterback.
No.
Or you're bugging. No way.
What are you talking about?
These guys they're the reasons why we're in the playoffs
NFC
right
South,
now.
no one finished above 500. What are you on about? The division-winning Panthers went 8-9.
See, this is the problem with these NFL fans. They don't want to be patient. You guys don't want to be patient to see what we are going to develop. So.
Did you know that every single team in that division had a negative point differential and one of them made the playoffs? The Carolina Panthers had the second worst point differential in that division and won.
And still had a harder schedule than the Broncos. And still had a harder schedule than the Broncos.
Played Green Bay, who made the playoffs.
And who beat Green Bay? The Panthers.
The Broncos.
The Panthers.
The Broncos.
And we beat them.
Denver had to play.
Who beat the Cowboys?
The AFC
the
West.
Panthers.
Who beat the Dolphins? Outside of Las Vegas. The Dolphins. Cut this off, bro. We're done. We're done.
My bad. I did not mean to say. I meant to say who beat the Rams? The Panthers. Come on.
Cut this off.
Who beat the Rams? The
Panthers. Thank y'all for watching. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
we're done.
W takes by me, guys.
We're the last segment. I'm done. Yeah, y'all can cut it off. This man said the Dolphins.